Going live. All right, everybody, we are live. Welcome to this week's edition of Fights Unwrapped. To the right of me is my co-host, Mr. Alec Carr. Obviously, Alec Carr, we do this every single time before we start our little headlines and stuff like that. So if you want to plug anything in, this is your time to do so.
Yeah, guys, like always, you can follow me at Alec TD Carr. It's my personal account. Got some crazy off the wall opinions. Just crazy stuff in general coming out of there. A lot of Eagles stuff, a lot of basketball stuff because it's what's relevant in Philadelphia right now, and that's where I'm based in. Um, well, you can also follow us at Fourth and 26 Sports, where we're retweeting a lot of Philadelphia stuff, a lot of retweets, a lot of announcements, just sports in general too. Um, you can also hopefully find me at Hoops Unwrapped pretty soon. I hope to jump back in with them, seeing as I have some time freed up now. And as always, you can follow all of us, me, Monique, and many others at Unwrapped Sports Network. You can get all kinds of sports info, great opinions, great articles, great podcasts. Like, follow every single one of them. You won't be upset with that decision.
Speaking of which, this is a shout out from the gang, obviously, Anthony Conover. Thanks for the love. Speaking of which, Connie has always talked about before we get started with our headlines, we gotta pay the bill. So I'm giving a shout out to you, Connie, for saying that. So first thing we're gonna talk about is rxhemp.com. Obviously, we were talking about this. Me and Alec Carr was like, we should probably reach out to Carlos Condit just because he's a huge proponent of rxhemp.com, and then this is something that anybody who is suffering from injuries needs recovery. Anybody who's working out and needs that recovery needs CBD creams. RxHemp.com is the place to do that. So, and also we have a promo code. If you look right closely, RxHemp-USN, you can get 10% off your order if you register today. And also, this card is not many people know about this card, or the pretty much the severity of the card and how this main event is. It might change a lot of things for the division. So, but I'll be definitely betting, and I'll be using mybookie.ag. You can use promo code USN100 for double up your deposit, 100% sign up bonus if you register today as well. So get on those bets, people, because this is actually going to be a very, 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 very good card. Okay, so let me see. I wonder if we should start off with your rant of the week, or we should save that for last. We can probably save that for last. So we'll start off. We'll start off with the easy headline, which is the relationship between Aljamain Sterling and Matt Serra got a little bit complicated right after his obviously disqualification win. And basically, there were some rumors and some really bad headlines saying that Matt Serra pretty much quit being in the corner of Aljamain Sterling after that fight. And then all of a sudden, literally like days after, they're saying all of a sudden, oh, wait, no, they reconciled, everything's fine. So, Alec Carr, do you want to just elaborate a little bit on why that is? Just basically, maybe it's just an error from who was doing the articles. Perhaps maybe the source was the error for that.
It could be. It sounds like there was definitely a moment in time where Matt Serra was about to cut off all ties to Aljo, and just pretty much just say I'm done with this guy. He's an asshole. He's this. He's that. But it looks like it was probably a misunderstanding that a miscommunication of some sort. Because now it sounds like Sarah's going to remain in the corner. Um, there's definitely reading through the lines and reading his quotes in the article. There's certainly some hurt feelings. It looks like Matt Serra, who's we all know Matt Serra, a former champ, stand-up guy, great trainer, great coach. It definitely looks like he is not the biggest fan of Aljo anymore, but he's going to remain on the training team. He will not be in Aljo's corners anymore. There's certainly a disagreement there of coaching and how he gives advice, maybe. Matt Serra seems like the type that is, you're going to do it my way or you're going to fuck off.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
like, you know, we're starting to learn a lot more about Aljo since he's been in the limelight, and been in the spotlight recently with his recent title fight. If you want to call it a victory, it's a victory, whatever the fuck. He
Yeah.
is the champ right now. Um, but it certainly seems like he is not the ultimate competitor that everybody once thought he was. It seems like he might be a little bit. I don't want to call him this because it seems too early, but I can't think of another word. I'll call him diva-ish.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Um,
Diva was in my head as well.
right,
So
he certainly is starting to seem like that. And it's not just the Matt Serra stuff. It's, you know, I'm not giving a rematch to Jan right away. I'm not doing this. I'm the champ. I'm the real champ. I don't care if it was a DQ. Um, that's all stuff that you would expect to hear from a diva, like a Jorge Masvidal. If that happened to Jorge Masvidal, you best believe he'd be living it up.
yeah,
Um, and we're gonna get to him later, but but
yeah, we'll get to him later.
it's weird. I don't know how do you feel about it? I mean, I certainly am a fan of Matt Serra, so this is kind of shocking to me.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely I'm a huge fan of Matt Serra, and then that's why. And here's the I'm not the biggest fan of Aljamain Sterling because he's a little bit too flashy for me. Like Alex said, he is a little bit of a diva in my opinion. I love that he's really interactive with the fans, like online. Like he's one of the most interactive with everybody. Everybody on MMA Twitter knows Aljamain Sterling to be like one of the most liked people or one of the most hated people. He's kind of polarizing for me, and I'm not the biggest fan of him. I personally think that Aljo was probably a little bit of a diva right after that win, if you want to call it a win, and he was blaming it on other people in his corner. And I'm pretty sure if he sits down and he watches the fight again, he should think about it and say, you know what, I was actually losing this fight, and maybe because of that, maybe he knew he was losing the fight, that he's like blaming other people instead of himself. You know, that's personally what
Yeah,
I'm thinking. It could be that maybe he personally knew in the back of his head, even when he was concussed, he probably knew that he wasn't winning the fight, and that's why he said like he didn't want to win the fight this way, perhaps, and then that's why this whole misunderstanding, conflict, if you want to call it, with Matt Serra started. And Matt Serra is a great cornerman. I've never had anybody like really complain about him that much until pretty much this headline came about. Shout outs to Dustin who gave us this headline, and it was saying, "Oh, like Aljamain is a douche." And I'm like, well, you know what? I'm not surprised.
yeah,
if this was actually happening. I'm sorry, people. I know there's a lot of Aljamain Sterling fans out there. It's just that, like, outside the octagon, he's just not my favorite person. And so this doesn't really surprise me. It's just the fact that anybody would blame and pretty much say like Matt Serra's not going to be in their corner anymore. Like that's a huge thing for me. So that's how I feel about it personally.
yeah, yeah. The way this just crossed my mind is he acts like Izzy without, you know, being as
Something to
good
back
as
it up. Yeah.
I know
Something to
I
back
know
it up.
Izzy just lost to Jan, but I mean that more goes towards Jan than Izzy.
Hmm.
You know, like Izzy's beaten everybody in his division. Now Aljo hasn't, and still hasn't because he didn't actually. I mean, I know I said this last week that I wasn't gonna hold it against him. You're a champ. DQ is a DQ. A champ is a champ. But dude, you know, I'm getting tired of this. You didn't win that fight. You won by default. Man up.
Hmm.
Now he has said that he's gonna give Jan the rematch right away now, but this is ridiculous. Matt Serra in MMA circles is one of the most well-respected trainer and cornermen in the entire MMA world, not just the UFC. So for this to be happening to him, for Serra to find out that he wasn't going to be allowed in the corner of this fight through social media is just insane. It's like call one of the most respected members of the MMA community up and tell him, listen, man, we're going in a different direction. That's all Serra has asked for, and he won't do it. So
Hmm. I know it's just ridiculous, and at the same time, like I think if they do the rematch, like as soon as possible, like he needs Matt Serra, okay, in his corner clearly. If you guys watch that fight, he needs Matt Serra, or he needs somebody reputable in his corner. Also, if you want to talk about how he's acting like Izzy with like not the wins to back it up. The only time he was impressive to me was it when he won against Corey Sandhagen, and I bet you 1,000% if we run it back, because Corey Sandhagen is not the same fighter as he was back then, he is not going to win that fight. I know, Algar is like, he's just agreeing with me, but it's true. 100% true.
It is true. It is
and
true.
Let's just see the growth between Corey Sandhagen and then the growth with Aljamain Sterling. Aljamain Sterling has just stayed at the same level, in my opinion, in terms of his level of competition, in terms of like how good he is. And then you see Corey Sandhagen just like say like, you know what, no more Mr. Nice Guy. I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna pretty much be the best fighter, and he is. And you don't see that with Aljamain Sterling. He's just the same, in my opinion.
Right.
So like,
no,
I'm
you're
not
right.
I'm not surprised if he rematch with Corey Sandhagen or a rematch with Jan that he's probably gonna lose. So that's all I'm gonna say. He needs Pat Serra in his corner for sure. All right, so we'll move on to the next topic. Let's see, who should we talk about first? Okay, let's talk about something easy. Let's talk about the resurrection of the Cuban Jesus versus the Nigerian Nightmare Part Dos. Okay, I bet you okay. I swear Dana White was in a really good mood. Maybe because today is St. Patrick's Day or something like that. That he's in a good mood. But he recently announced another 3 title fight card. I believe that's gonna be. Is it in June? I believe that it's gonna be like June 21st. Is it really close? Is it in April?
Hold on.
It can't be that close.
It can't be. I'm wrong. Hold on.
I'm pretty sure it's like June.
Let's go here. We got UFC 261, April 24th is Usman Masvidal, Zhang Namajunas, Shevchenko, Andrade.
Is it actually that close? Oh my goodness. Okay,
yep.
Wow. Well, yeah, again, Dana White must be in a very, very good mood. And like I said, today is St. Patrick's Day, so I'm in a very good mood talking about this. But basically, okay, obviously the articles are coming out saying that Usman is the clear favorite. No surprise there. Between the both of us. I mean, even with the full training camp, Masvidal, he has the hands. We know that he has the better hands. He has the better striking. But in terms of anything else, he still hasn't really evolved in his game. He's still the journeyman with just the really great hands. And yeah, sure, he has some takedown defense, but in the clinch, he's terrible. It's all Usman's game. So what do you think, Alikar? You think it's just gonna be a rematch of the first? What's gonna happen in the first?
I don't think it will be like that. I think Usman, and I'm gonna be careful because I've been getting a little out of control with my bold statements. Like Izzy John fight. Anyway, I think it will be a little bit different in that Usman will dominate in a different way. I don't think he's gonna just go to the clinch. I think he did that because listen, Masvidal took the fight on 5 days' notice. So did Usman. I mean, this is Usman didn't game plan for Masvidal. People always forget about that. And so he did what he had to do. He knew Masvidal is one of the strongest punchers in the division last UFC, and he held on. I think with a full fight camp, Usman will be at an even greater advantage. Have an actual game plan for Masvidal. And if worse comes to worse, they'll just throw him up against the cage again. But I think Usman's looking to take this fight down to the ground. I know he's talking about striking with Masvidal, but he's too smart for that. He's not going to do it unless he's getting cocky. He's just not going to do it. He might do it for a little bit, but this fight's going to the ground. Eventually, it might not be in the first round, but definitely in the second, third. Look for this fight to be an absolute dominant showing of Usman's ground game. Because Masvidal is what Masvidal is. He's got a puncher's chance in this fight. He's got knockout power for sure. But I might get flack for saying this, but like I say, please at me. Masvidal is an overrated. If it weren't for a flying knee against Ben Askren, we wouldn't be talking about Jorge Masvidal. He wouldn't be the cover athlete of UFC 4. Even if he had beaten Askren in a different way, if we're not talking about Jorge Masvidal versus Usman, it just wouldn't have happened. I love the guy. Exactly. Listen, I don't love him outside of the octagon. Difference of opinions definitely about the world, but inside the octagon, I love watching him fight. Outside of the octagon, I could care less about him. But yeah, it's just a bad matchup for him in every single way. Single way.
It's funny because he was just talking about like how before he's saying like, oh, I'm coming back in August, September. I'm like, nope, you're coming back earlier than that in April apparently.
Yeah, he finally takes a fight.
That's why he was saying like I swear he said something saying like, because we talked about this. He said that he was gonna come back in August and September and everyone's gonna love the opponent. But now he's coming back in April, and now I don't know if that screws up his plans or anything like that. Just because I know he's been doing a lot of traveling. If you've actually followed Masvidal on like social media, he's been doing a lot of traveling around the world and stuff like that. So I'm like, oh, you better get back to training camp, just because like this whole thing is in April, and now you're still coming back from traveling and stuff like that. So, what are you gonna say?
No, go ahead. I was just gonna say, I think Dana White just said, dude, you gotta fight. Like, you have to fight. At least Covington fought Woodley semi-recently. Like, but Masvidal, dude, you gotta fight. You have to fight somebody.
Yeah, I agree. And also, I just think that the only reasons like we talk about Masvidal was number one, like you said, the flying knee against Ben Askren. That's number one. Number two was that fight against Nate Diaz. Those are the only reasons why we talk about Masvidal, because he is the BMF champion, and that flying knee was the only thing. But here's the thing: I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. That's a hard move to make, and all that. It's just that like he doesn't have much in terms of his reputation for many people to really talk about. When it comes to Masvidal, so.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to say Masvidal's a bad fighter. He's just not. I'm sorry, he's not top. I don't think he's top 5 in the division. He's a good fighter. He's a journeyman. He's been in the UFC forever. The guy's an absolute dominant striker. He's a beast. But there's a reason why he's never been champ. There's a reason why he's very rarely ever been considered in contention. It's because all he is a striker. He's had some absolute wars that I love rewatching. So, yeah, I'm not trying to say Masvidal's bad. I don't want anyone to think that. He's a good to great fighter, but this is a bad fight for him.
It's Usman. Let's just be honest. Usman technically is the better fighter. When I see this fight, I see it going. You remember the Usman Burns fight? I kind of see it going very, very similar to that, because like Burns, Burns is really good on the ground. Okay, so that's something that's different from Masvidal. But at the same time, Burns had a puncher's chance. Like in the beginning of the rounds, he rocked Usman, but Usman's like, I'm just gonna put you with that jab. You're gonna go on the ground. You're not gonna like it when I go on the ground, and like that's just. I feel like that similar fight is gonna happen with Masvidal in the rematch, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not too excited about this fight, even with the fuller training camp. So that's just my opinion of this fight. But let's just go into something. Let's go into a headline that's more exciting. Let's talk about the women's strawweight division. Let's go. Weili Zhang versus Thug Rose Namajunas. Oh my gosh, I can't. This is heartbreaking for me to talk about. Just because I love both these women for different reasons.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I'll start just because we were talking about this before the stream, and I was really passionate about talking about it. Man, usually I go and I always root for my Asian sisters. You know, obviously Weili Zhang being the champ and being the first, I believe, Chinese champ there was in UFC or in MMA and stuff like that. So in UFC for sure, first UFC Chinese champ. I'm always gonna root for her, but at the same time, I've been rooting for Doug Rose since it feels like the beginning of time, since like her before her tough days, I was rooting for her. You know what I mean? Like so, and now she gets that chance to be champ again, and I'm torn right now. And we were talking about this like right before the stream how Zhang is such a pressured forward kind of striker, and you were saying, Alec, that Rose has the cure for that. You know, she has the perfect counter for Zhang. Why don't you elaborate on this fight? What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, so it's hard for me to pick two because I do love watching both of these fighters. Rose, how can you not be a big fan of her? She stays quiet, she keeps her head down, she does her business. Um, and then Zhang's just a highlight reel waiting to happen. Whenever she steps in the octagon, you know something crazy is going to go down. Um, yeah, and it's just what we were talking about is that when Namajunas is at the top of her game, she is and this is my almost exact words to you, is not only is she the best technical boxer in the women's division, she might be the best technical boxer in all of UFC. The way that she can lead with her jab and move that back foot and kind of like the old boxing saying, stick and move, stick and move, stick and move, and that's what she's so good at. Um, and Zhang applying pressure, she's going to get hit. She's going to get hit really fast because we all know Rose has got quick hands. And Zhang's more going to pressure, keep bringing the pressure, keep bringing the pressure, keep bringing the pressure. I think what ultimately happens is, as much as I hate to say this because I love Rose, she's one of my favorite fighters in the UFC right now. I think Zhang's pressure is going to get to her, and I think she's going to. This fight might get down to the ground, and it might get pretty ugly for Rose in the later rounds. But that being said, if she keeps moving and keeps moving, throwing that jab like she does, throwing those leg kicks, and keeps getting out of the way, this could turn into a Rose fight where Zhang gets frustrated because she can't get a hold of her, because she's getting tagged every time she goes to either try to apply pressure, which she will have to do because she doesn't have the reach advantage. So she will have to try to get inside. If she keeps trying to get inside and keeps getting tagged with 1, 2, 3 punch combos, she's going to get pissed off. And I do think that she could try to force things, and we could see this fight end a little bit earlier than expected. But this is absolutely going to be a battle. I'm so excited for this. It's two opposites. Zhang with bringing the power and the pressure, with Namajunas bringing the technique and just absolute finesse game of striking. I honestly, I'm getting jitters just thinking about it. I'm so excited for this fight.
I'm so excited for this fight. Now I'm gonna give you the opposite of what I think maybe could happen. Okay, so obviously Zhang with that pressure, we all know that she's gonna bring it. You know, she's a heavy puncher as well. But at the same time, here's my thing. Okay, so I feel like Rose Namajunas has a secret weapon, and I already told you about this like during the stream before the stream. Her secret weapon is her fiance Pat. Okay, and I'm telling you this is it's not Trevor Whitman. No, it's her fiance Pat. Now I tell you this right now, just because every single time I've seen her fight a big fight, like a title fight, I've seen her fight live maybe twice, and every time I've seen her fight, this is what happens: Rose gets tagged in the first round. Rose gets tagged in the second round, and all of a sudden afterwards, Pat will whisper something in her ear, and after that, Rose just lights up, and then she wins the rest of the fight, and then the rest of the rounds. I don't know what the hell he whispers in her ear, but it works. It works, Alikar. And like everybody should go back and watch her fights. This literally is always what happens. Like she'll always be losing the first or the second round, and then all of a sudden, she'll light up, and then she'll like, her boxing is great. We're gonna say like, oh, Rose has never looked better and stuff like that, and she wins the entire fight. So you never know. Maybe she gets tagged in the first round. Maybe she survives, and then Zay might get really frustrated, like you said, right? And this might turn into a Rose Namajunas fight, and Pat is definitely going to be in her corner whispering what have yous to her, and it's probably going to
work. Whispering sweet nothings in her ear.
Sweet. Imagine if he just like says like something so weird and it doesn't even make sense, but it doesn't matter. Like,
I'm not even gonna project what they're talking about. We might not even want to know.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. We might not want to know. It's between them. I'm just saying, Alucard. It's the weirdest thing, but that is her secret weapon. No offense to Trevor Whitman, who's obviously a really great head coach in Colorado. Not saying anything about that, but Trevor Whitman teaches what Trevor Whitman is good at, which is striking.
Yeah.
And on the ground is a different story. So we'll see about that. All right. Alucard, are you ready to get hot and heavy on the stream? Because this is your time to shine. I know you're not very happy about this topic, and neither am I. What the fuck, guys? What the fuck? We lost Paulo Costa due to a flu illness, and now Robert Whitaker has a new opponent, and his name is Kelvin Gastelum. And I can't help but laugh at this because I am very upset at this, and that's why I said in the beginning, we were talking about this before the stream, how both of us are visibly upset about this fight. I can't believe this is actually happening, and we called this Alex Rant of the Week just because like this is exactly what it is going to be. So Alec, I know if this is going to get a little hot and heavy on this stream, but you gotta tell me what your thoughts are on this fight.
This is now the second time Robert Whitaker and Dana White, and because of Dana White, has been the subject of my brand authority. Dana, I know every other middleweight has a fight schedule. I know the top 5 is all scheduled out, and you're not going to book Jared Cannonier again because Whitaker just made him look like an idiot. But the fact that you are giving him Kelvin Gastelum, a guy who his most recent fight was Ian Heinisch. I don't even remember how to say his name because I'm so angry. Who was a gift of a fight. If Gastelum had lost that fight, you better believe he would not have been re-signed. He might have been cut from the UFC roster. He lost to Jack Hermansson, Darren Till, Izzy Adesanya, which we all know was the great Gastelum fight, which was really just took Izzy by surprise. Then he beat Ronaldo Souza, no joke fight. He beat Michael Bisping at the end of Bisping's career, and lost to Chris Weidman. And you're putting him up against Robert Whitaker, one of the greatest fighters of our era. You're putting him up against the Reaper. This is embarrassing for the UFC. This is embarrassing for Robert Whitaker. This guy deserves another title shot with Izzy because he came back off of a long layoff, off of a huge injury, and didn't look like himself. You should have just canceled the damn fight. Paulo Costa is, he's got a flu that's going to last until April 17th, apparently. It's just another joke. Paulo Costa, you got to fight, dude. I know you're a little bit worried that you're being exposed for the fraud you are and the, juice junkie that you actually are because you lost to Romero and you know it. And then you can't. We've talked about it endless times. He took that first leg kick against Izzy and was done. He quit. He quit in that fight. No, he was not drunk. No, he was not hungover. He felt a leg kick from hell and quit. And now he doesn't want to fight Robert Whitaker because Robert Whitaker will go in there and absolutely annihilate Paulo Costa, finally exposing him for what he is. So you give him Kelvin Gastelum, Dana, because Paulo Costa backed out. It's a joke. It's an absolute disgusting booking. It doesn't make any sense. I'm sure Gastelum is so excited that he's getting another main event when he doesn't deserve it. This guy's on his way down in the rankings, not up. And you're giving him a fight against, let's look at the rankings real quick. Hold on, I got them pulled up right here. Robert Whitaker, the number 1 contender in middleweight. You're booking the number 8 fighter against the number 1 contender in the division. It doesn't make any sense. It's stupid. I know Vettori and Till are fighting. I know Costa is sick for a month.
Yeah.
Literally a month. He's sick for an entire month. And, Whitaker just displayed who he actually was against Cannonier and Darren Till. So why would you book this fight again? The right move here was to wait for Izzy to come back down and be ready. Not to book an embarrassing fight where we're going to watch Whitaker absolutely annihilate Gastelum. This isn't even going to be close. It's going to be over in the first round. Fucking, it's just disgusting. I'm so angry the same way. I'm sweating right now. I'm going to shut up. This is just, and to do it with one of the most well-respected, most liked guys in UFC history. I mean, this guy's a guy that gave his own bone marrow, was canceled a fight because he was donating bone marrow. Like, are you kidding me?
I know.
Ugh. The joke.
Yeah, but I'm not looking forward to this fight whatsoever. This is going to be easy money for Robert Whitaker. We need a fan over there, Alucard, because you are livid right now. You are livid. Okay, after that rant, I could tell. So, hopefully we won't have to talk about this. Hopefully, closer to the month leading ahead. But it is what it is. It's a joke of a fight. I mean, I feel bad for Robert Whitaker, honestly, and Calvin Gastelum must be over the moon because now he gets to face the number 1 contender of that division.
Also, real quick, and I'll shut up with this so we can move on to the main card. The reason this is happening is because Dana White doesn't like being called out. Dana White does not like when people call him out on his bullshit. The reason Izzy Whitaker fight didn't happen according to Dana is because Whitaker didn't want to take the fight, which was not true. Whitaker said, I didn't want to take the fight until March. Dana White came back out and said, we wanted the Jan fight before March. Well, guess when the Jan fight happened? In March.
Yep.
So, no, you just didn't want to book Izzy Whitaker too. That's all it was. You were looking for a money fight. You were searching for the Jones-Izzy fight. Never going to happen. God, this shit pisses me off.
I know, right? No, it's okay. It's okay. We'll move on before Alec gets even more hot and heavy, for sure. Okay. We'll move on to the UFC Vegas 22 fight preview. Let's just share our screen right here. I know, right? That was a good one, Alec. That was a good one. Good rant of the week. All right, let's pull this up right here. All right, let's see. Which one is first? Well, I don't know if this is in order because the Tapology and the UFC and the Google, they're not the same, but in terms of like the hierarchy of how these fights are happening. But the first one is Tai Tuivasa is back and he's going to be facing against Harry Hunsucker, if I'm pronouncing that right, in the heavyweight division. So, okay, Tai Tuivasa looks really good. Tai Tuivasa actually went to AKA Academy, which is where DC trains, and actually worked a little bit on his wrestling as well, if anyone does not know that. So I'm picking Tai Tuivasa to win, and then we're going to see that disgusting beer and the shoe thing happen afterwards.
I absolutely love Tai Tuivasa. One of my favorite nicknames in UFC history. We got Bam Bam fighting.
Bam Bam. Oh, yeah.
I'm so excited. I also love it's just something about those Australian/New Zealand fighters. They're just different. I love watching them fight. Tai Tuivasa is very marketable. This is Dana White. Listen, you got to beat Hunsucker, and then we can start giving you real fights again.
Mm-hmm.
Hunsucker's coming off of he was at HR MMA. He lost his Contender Series fights. It's not like this guy's a well-known, well-realized fighter. Tai Tuivasa, go in there, handle your business. We want to see you have big fights again, man. I miss watching him fight JDS, Andrei Arlovski, and all those guys. So I'm very excited for this.
Me too. I'm excited for it too. That was easy for us to pick. The next one is going to be a welterweight bout between Kenan Song versus Max Griffin. Now, this is really disappointing for me just because I am very disappointed at how, if you look at Max Griffin's record, if you want to talk about inconsistency and someone who really needs to win, that's Max Griffin right there. And Kenan Song, it's just up and coming. So I just feel like, it's really hard for me to pick Max Griffin, even though he does have the power advantage, in my opinion, in this fight. But he really needs that win. Maybe if I say Max Griffin's gonna win this fight, maybe he will win just because he needs this win. And Dana's giving him hopefully an easy opponent to do that with.
Yeah, I'm gonna disagree with you though. I got Kenan Song in this fight. I
don't blame you. I don't blame you.
Max Griffin, like you said, is the epitome of inconsistent, borderline, just not being good enough. At this point, just to be really honest. Granted, some of his losses are against some of the best fighters in the world, so so that does say something. I like Kenan Song. I like his technique. I think he's a good striker. I think he outclasses Max Griffin in this fight and comes away with the decision victory.
Okay, there you go. So we'll see. We're 1-1 right now in our picks, but that's okay. Next fight, we're going by these really quickly, just because I feel like our efforts are gonna be concentrated in the co-main and the main events. But this one is gonna be my lock bet. Like, everybody should be tuning into this fight. It's Adrian Yanez versus Gustavo Lopez. Now, we have two fighters coming from different promotions. You have Yanez coming from LFA, and then you have Gustavo Lopez coming from one of my favorite promotions, Combate Americas. So, and they're both amazing in their own right. If you look at both their records, if you look at the opponents that they've faced, like, they always put on a show. I'm gonna go with my heart in this one because I'm a huge Combate Americas fan. I'm gonna go with Gustavo Lopez, but it's really tight. It's gonna be a really close matchup in my opinion. There's not gonna be one that's gonna be super dominant against the other. What do you think, Alikar?
I'm really excited for this fight. I mean, the bantamweight division is one of my favorite divisions to watch right now. We got a lot of young up and comers. Plus, who doesn't love watching the speedy guys fight? It gets crazy in the octagon whenever they fight. I'm gonna go Yanez on this fight too. Oh, that's who you picked, right?
No, I picked Lopez.
Oh, I picked Lopez. Yeah. Right. I'm gonna go Yanez on this fight.
Okay.
I like him a little bit better than Lopez. I know Lopez has got a little bit of everything. I'm just gonna, maybe I'm just winging it and just taking with a gut feeling. But I think Yanez is gonna win this fight. I think he really is. I think this is a guy that's up and comer in the bantamweight division. I think it's everybody's got to look out for.
It's tough because they're both up and coming, and I think Lopez, the only one that he lost to in the UFC was against Murashab.
No, you're right.
Yeah, and like Murab Vashili. I can't pronounce the names properly, but that's the only person that he's lost to, and that guy is a monster in that division. So we'll see. But both of them are definitely up and coming, and that's going to be my lock bet. So everybody should be tuning in for that, for sure. All right. So moving on to the women's strawweight Well, we got Cheyenne Baez versus Montserrat Connell, if I'm not pronouncing that right. I think she got a different last name, like Ruiz, in Tapologies, but I'm not sure which is the right one. So we're just gonna go with Montserrat. So Cheyenne Baez, like, I don't know much about both of these fighters, except that Baez, like, she's coming off a Contender Series win, unanimous decision, and then like she's been on a roll in her other previous promotions, but so is Montserrat as well. So, and Montserrat seems like she looks like a powerhouse to me. So it's gonna be tough. I'm gonna side with Baez just because that's the only one that I know personally more of. But I wouldn't be surprised if Montserrat, being the powerhouse that she is, takes this fight. So what do you think, Alec? I know this is tough for both of us to choose.
Yeah, it's hard for us to choose. Just so everybody knows, is because you can't really find a lot of Montserrat or Ruiz or Conejao, or however you want to say her name. You can't find a lot of her fights online. So it's hard to pick. I've seen Baez fight. I remember watching that Contender Series. She put on quite the show in that Contender Series. She looked pretty damn good. So I'm gonna go with her too. But I mean, Ruiz is no. It looks like she's no joke either. It looks like she's got some KO power. She's got some knockout power. She's got some power in her fist. She's also got some ground game. She's got a couple of submission victories as well. So I'm interested to see this fight. These could be two people that could make some noise in the UFC, and I love watching people like that.
For sure. They can be up and comers in the strawweight division, which is a very stacked division, mind you. So, okay, let's just talk about someone who, for some reason, has disappeared off the face of the earth and now is back. Gregor Gillespie is back. I don't know what he's been doing. Maybe he's been like fishing or something like that. He loves fishing. He loves hunting in his spare time. But he's going to be facing against Brad Riddell in a lightweight matchup, and I personally I like watching Gregor Gillespie fight in the octagon. Outside the octagon, totally different story, totally different opinions, okay, of the world. But I'm saying inside the octagon, I absolutely love watching him fight. His style is one of my favorites to watch, and that's why I'm probably gonna be picking him to win. Just because, like, I don't believe in ring rust in this situation. I think he's ready. I think he's been training probably for a long time now. So, what do you think is gonna win, Alec? Or who do you think is gonna take it in this fight?
Yeah, I got Gregor Gillespie too now. Rydell's no joke. I mean, this is a guy who's an absolute monster. I mean, he's got hands for days. He's a good fighter. But Gregor Gillespie at one point was one of the fastest up and coming fighters in the UFC, and just met 2019 Kevin Lee, who was kind of a beast, if we're being honest. I mean, 2019 Kevin Lee is a guy that was no joke. He was coming off the Edson Barbosa win in 2018, and then he lost to Alaquinta. But anyway, Kevin Lee is no joke. He's a good fighter. He's still in the top rankings. And unfortunately, Gillespie met that guy and also met an overhand right. And just got out. I do like him in this fight. I do like his style of fight. He's a guy that can take you down and win by ground and pound. Those kind of fighters always get me excited to watch. I'm glad he's back. It's been since 2019, since that Kevin Lee fight, since we've seen him. So I'm glad he's back. I'm glad to see I want to see what he can do. And this is a great opponent for him. I mean, Riddell's on a run right now. He's won his first 3 UFC fights. So let's do it.
I mean, Gillespie's also very fast, and like, that's one of the reasons why I like him as well. Super fast. He got that power in his hands, and I hope that whenever he comes back, he's the same Gillespie, if not better. It's funny because we talk about Kevin Lee, and like I haven't seen Kevin Lee fight in like a long time now. After that fight, I swear, it's like everybody just disappeared off the face of the earth or something like that. But I'm glad that Gillespie's back. I hope that he gets this win. Brad Riddell is no joke as well, like you said. And I love this lightweight division, even though we still have to talk about right? So good. Even though we still have to talk about why Khabib is still the champion, which is another topic for another day, obviously. But
yeah, that's a whole hour.
that's gonna take the entire hour. That's for sure. All right, let's move on to the main event, which is a middleweight bout between Derek Brunson. A very important middleweight bout. Sorry, I had to say that. Very important middleweight bout between Derek Brunson versus Kevin Holland. Oh man, this is tough for me just because Kevin Holland's on a roll right now. Like he is on a tear. He is beating everybody, including Jacare Souza, who I believe that was his last opponent that he beat, and like the way he beat him was incredible. Like just like he was on the ground, and like how do you get that power from on the ground and like to knock someone out like that? It's just mind blowing. And Derek Brunson, I haven't seen him fight in a while, so it's gonna be tough for me to choose just because I know he's no joke as well. But Kevin Holland, I mean, we would be crazy not to pick him in this fight just because he's on that tear right now. And then Brunson, we haven't seen him fight in a long time, and it's just he's been inactive. So like, what do you think, Alec? Like, I'm choosing Kevin Holland to win this fight, and then this is gonna be huge for him if he wins against Derek Brunson.
I think Kevin Holland wins this fight too. Kevin Holland's an absolute beast. He's shown it in every single fight. He went on the 5-fight win streak in 2020. Right? Am I 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Yes, 5-fight win streak in 2020. He's an absolute monster. We saw all of his striking up until the Salsa fight, and everybody was worried that this guy's just a striker. He can't do anything on the ground, and he actually showed you his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt in that fight. I know he was on his back. I know he won by knockout, but he was on his back by choice. This is a guy that wanted to be on his back in this fight. It looked like he wanted to prove that he does. Listen, I have a black belt from Luter. Like, I have a Luter black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I am a monster on the ground, and I am not somebody to be trifled with. Kevin Holland is a monster. He's one of those long, lanky fighters. I can't wait to see this fight. Derek Brunson's got all the power for days. He's no joke. And like you said, we haven't seen him in a while. The last time we saw him was August 2020. With COVID, it certainly feels like that was probably August 2019, but it wasn't. It was less than a year ago. But I just think that Kevin Holland is a tactical striker. He's a great striker, and if this fight goes to the ground, he's going to show that Luter black belt because that is we all know. Well, I guess we don't all know, but fight fans know not all BJJ black belts are created equally, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But a Luter black belt means something. That means you're damn good at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It means you're probably one of the best BJJ in the UFC. I can't talk about this fight enough. I am so excited to see Kevin Holland. I am so excited for him to rise in the ranks. I think he's 10 right now, so if he wins this fight, he'll leapfrog a bunch of people and probably get into the top 5. I would imagine he even leapfrogs Shaq Hermansson. And then we're talking about a title fight for him. I think he needs one more fight after this, one more dub after this, and then he gets his title shot. But let's pump the brakes a little bit.
Yeah.
If you can look, I'm gonna highlight this. Because you cannot see. CJ is absolutely correct. You cannot sleep on Brunson. The guy's a monster. The guy's where he is for a reason. He will he will absolutely annihilate you if you let him.
Great
So
comment.
Kevin,
Great comment. Yeah.
right, it's a great comment. So Holland, I'm a huge fan. I love you inside and outside the octagon. Don't get too cocky and get it done because we want to see you against Izzy. That's what I want to see more than anything else because I think Holland is one of the only people that can maybe beat him.
Yeah. No, exactly. Same here. I'm excited for this fight. Really great comment by CJ. Really happy with the interaction in this stream, obviously. And let's see who's next for next week's fight. It's it's already UFC 260.
Yep.
We got. It's usually really rare for us to see two pay-per-views in the same month. That's why this is like so surprising for me. But I can't believe next week we have Stipe versus Francis Ngannou, and then we have Alexander Volkanovski versus T-City Brian Ortega for that featherweight belt.
And we got Sugar Sean O'Malley back.
Yes, we got Sugar Sean O'Malley. We got Tyron Woodley versus Vicente Luque. That's gonna be Camel Woodley versus. This is gonna be a great card. I cannot wait to talk about it. Cannot wait to talk about it next week.
Me neither. I want to get started now. We need like 2 weeks for this card.
This card. We definitely need 2 weeks. Like we could talk about the last two fights. No, we could talk about the main card itself for a whole hour. I feel like we could definitely do that. For sure, especially with those two, the co-main and the main events, and then you got Sugar Sean coming back, and then you got Tyron Woodley in the mix with Vicente Luque. I mean, Alucard, we got our work cut out for us next week, that's for sure.
Yeah, we got a great card. Great card.
That's right. Well, that does it for us this week, everybody, on Fights Unwrapped. Everybody have a great fight week, and we will see you next week and talk about UFC 260. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.